Hello. Ragewood here, back with a video. This time looking at some of the chief challenges, the otherworld bosses. They're all ultimately the same person. Now, I'm recording this on the last day of the first week. As you can see, I've only got one fight remaining. I might do a little guide on the others as I do them as the weeks go through. But in week one, you only need to hit 3 bosses. Now, for me, I've hit what I believe to be the easiest 3 for my account. Now, I think everyone will be, all content creators will be in agreement that the Radiance boss, the one that takes damage by ice heroes, is the easiest, okay? Similar to Alton in Season 2, and it's essentially Shinner. So, slightly different to Alton in that the battle skill is targeted, so you will need a tank or a beefy support. But the ultimate is randomly hit, so a bit of RNG involved in there. But you should do just fine. As you can see, I got 94 million with Fenia as my tank / support. And then just 4 Ice Blast heroes. Yes, I am a filthy whale. I have played since closed beta test, so I have quite a few heroes. However, I have seen many people do decent scores with Bledin, Girthin, Sadic as well, and maybe someone like a Voresh and another support. So just do what you can, but Ice Blast is certainly the way to go, and this is easily the easiest boss. Next one for me then, my next sort of strongest element on my account for single target boss fights is Lightning or Dauntless, okay? Again, I've just got the one support in Zephy. I am fortunate enough to have Nestyenka, the Dauntless exclusive, and then more Dauntless people just to support her. So lots of base attacks going out, and Zephy just using the ult to give me the defense up and the immortality when the boss ults, so to cover us for that 8-second period. And as you can see, I did 97 million. Now the next one for me, it is tough to choose between fire and this necrosis damage one. Now I am leaning towards necrosis because I think I've got a better team. I am going to be using shadow for this. And mainly because I have the Shadow exclusive, I was fortunate enough to pull that, and I have him skilled, whereas my fire team, none of my legendary heroes are scrolled, so damage is certainly a lot less in that front. The other thing that sort of plays into it as well is my Psyche core now. I have fallen behind in Vortex damage because I did not max this straight away. I decided to actually put some points into the 5-man necrosis and lightning bonus here, partly because in the grand scheme of things, the vortex positioning and the clepsydra you get from that is only probably 5% of your total for the season, whereas scoring well in these chief challenges ultimately does better for you. So considering this week we only had to do 3, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to max out this one here and this, I just sort of accepted the loss in the vortex to give me a chance to score higher here. And as you can see from the lightning score, that has paid off for me. So when I do get up to 40k, I will finish this one off to make my Ice Blast score higher next week. But for this week, as I say, this is how we've proceeded. So that's what's brought me to doing, I say, necrosis. So let's jump in. We'll talk about how we're going to do this essentially. So the boss himself. I'll load my gear up, I'll talk about the positioning and things as well. Now, the boss himself is essentially Hokadir. Hokadir being the ice champion, okay? So passives, they've all got this increase in damage just as the fight goes on. every time they do their ultimate, so that's the same throughout. They also all have control immunity, so that is, you'll see common throughout all the fights. And then these are the Hokadir specific ones, essentially. So when he is alive, he extends the duration of frost granted by allies by 5 seconds. Targets under frost will now explode in their current position every 1 second, dealing cold damage. So when he puts frost on our heroes, they are going to emanate frost, dealing damage. So you don't want too many melee units in this fight, okay? And it's also why summoning summon units might not be the best. There is only one summon unit which gets away with this, and that is Premster. But once again, bit of a shame, summon's not the greatest, because they will all get the frost debuff and then they'll all damage each other within one tile. Moving on to the battle skills, or the first two abilities here. He deals cold damage to enemies within range and has a 100% chance of inflicting frost for 5 seconds. So that's those two. And then the ultimate is he grants 25% attack up to all frost allies, so to himself basically. Then releases frozen air, dealing cold damage, inflicting frost for 10 seconds. So if you've got block debuffs, good thing, reduce the damage here. Okay, something else you can consider, or alternatively, just make sure you've got attack down and high resistance. Now, I don't have either in this team, alright, and I'll talk about the placements first, and then I'll go through why I've geared them the way I have, etc. So essentially, my tank here for this fight is Fathom Down, okay? And as you can see from the purple line, they're going to attack each other. So the boss is going to come over here, okay? Why have I done that? It's because of this, where is it? The ultimate, okay? It's just a little 3x3 square. And if the boss is travelling over here, it means that 3x3 square is going to target just around here, meaning all of my other heroes are going to be relatively safe. Now, I have got Ozzel, and I will show him where I place him, okay? When he jumps into demon form, he's really going to be the only other person at risk of this battle skill, okay, which is just around the target. Now, Ozzel will change into a demon, making him melee, so he will be victim, if you want to call it, to the battle skill. Then I have Torrin back here. Torrin is just obviously the passive. He marks someone directly in front of him, granting a portion of the HP and defense, so he's going to help buff Fathom Down. And everyone else is over here, just quite simply to avoid the abilities. So I'll show you how it plays out and what eventually happens. So we'll just turn everything off auto. So you can see the boss has moved up, okay, to my Fathom Down just here, okay. And then what I do is, this is a similar box to what the ultimate's going to be for the ultimate, for the boss's ultimate, okay. So he will surround the people damaged. Now, if he does what he should do, he'll target sort of here or here, and he won't be able to damage anyone else, but I think he centers it on himself, which ends up damaging my Ozzel. So I'll drop that there, and I'll show you what I mean with Ozzel, okay? So what I do with Ozzel is I drop his ult over here behind him, just so he's not in damage range, essentially, of the boss's ultimate. So we'll wait for the ultimate just here. Yeah, so as I thought, he targets himself. So just these two are going to be taking damage from that ultimate there. As you can see, the rest of my damage dealer is completely fine and safe over here. Same with my support. Alright. So that is the positioning, essentially, and why I position them the way I have. Now, I feel like you really do need a healer for this one. Okay, now I have done it with Estella on the test server. Okay, if you don't have Torrent, you have Estella. Because we're not using summon units, she will always target the two guys taking the damage. Okay, Nathaniel, I'm unsure on. He will clean the debuffs, the frost debuffs off, which is great. We do need that to stop us taking so much damage and for the pulsing energies. But I don't know if his healing is enough to go the entire fight. Same with Gulend. She can cleanse the frost debuffs, but I don't think the healing is ultimately enough on its own. So I do think if you've got Torrent, fab. But if not, Estella does work fine from the testing that I have done. Tanks-wise, I've gone for Fathom Down. Now, Fathom Down is wearing this amazing new artifact, the Rascal Slingshot, where he gains increased attack for every accuracy he has. Now, as you can see, he's unscrolled for me, but his ultimate has a chance to inflict attack penalty for 5 seconds and reduce their ultimate energy. So I want accuracy to land that, and the fact that the slingshot gives me the accuracy and just increases my total damage is great. Now, Fathom Down's one of these weird tanks where his damage is actually based on attack, so you need to build him with some survivability, but you also want him to do some damage. So as you can see, we've got just underneath 100k HP for me, and defense just under 3k. Attack is around 2,700, but I'm getting 8 attack for every 1 accuracy I have. I've got just over 300 accuracy, so it's another 2,400. So great artifact this season. I'm so glad it's an epic rather than a legendary as well, so it's accessible to a lot of people for your damage dealers that also need accuracy. Now, the other things he's wearing is a Tundra Tenacity set. So it increases his HP and he reduces the damage that he's taken when he doesn't take a crit. Bosses cannot crit, so this is just straight up 25% damage reduction. I've then also got this piece here. This doesn't really benefit Fathom Down at all, really, and I might actually change that before we actually run the fight. Now, taking a step back, I then have Torrin. Now, Torrin is in the Spirit Horn, so when he heals an ally, it increases their damage, okay, and he heals everyone on his ultimate, so it's just a nice damage increase. He is in the Ancestral Protection. Now, it seems like a strange choice because he's going to be taking damage that the allies take. However, because he's not taking any himself, he's just keeping the heat off Fathom Down, who already has a damage reduction from the set that he's wearing. So it's just good gravy overall, helping to keep the tank alive. Defense glove, enlightenment chest because he heals on enlightenment, and he does benefit from this, so there's a 50% chance that he'll get increased healing when he does his ultimate and his battle skill. Getting 3k defense, some HP, but mainly it's about the enlightenment here, 235 just there. I've got an enlightenment rune, but my negative runes, I did farm some today, but I'm still lacking a little bit there, so that could do with some improvement, that enlightenment just there. Moving on then, Daphne. Daphne is in the Organ. Okay, so she's increasing the damage of my ranged units. Now you can see I have 4 other ranged units, so that's just gravy. She is in the Emperor's Might set, okay? Now the 3-piece Emperor's Might set is when they deal damage to someone with lower attack, the current damage will be increased based on the difference in the attack value, essentially. When the wearer's attack reaches 200% of that target, it will go up by an additional 50%. These bosses are known to have very low attack. Now, we don't know what it is. They don't give us that information like other games do. However, we do know that unlike Vortex, Emperor's set is normally better in most scenarios, so I have tried to go Emperors across the board. She is also unscrolled. Sorry, I didn't say Torin is scrolled. Fathom Down and Daphne are unscrolled. As you see, I've gone for a very high attack here. I've got just over 6k, partly for the Emperor's set, partly for the Dawn Pipe, where they gain 10% of her attack, so just 600 attack to everyone else, but also because of her ultimate. When she jumps into an ally, the possessed target gains attack up equal to 35% of her attack, so this is going to get another 2k attack when she possesses them. So yeah, she's just great, and that's why we've gone for that. Taldi, sorry this is dragging on a lot, boys and girls. We'll start the fight and I'll show you the end to skip it. Taldi is my Witch's Remains, so he's got a little less accuracy than I would like. Again, I might try and change that quickly. 270 is what you need to consistently get it in here. Again, he's in an Emperor's set. He's got my Witch's Remains because his ultimate is a very quick cooldown, so he can almost keep it up the entirety of the fight. Now, before his nerf in test server, he could keep Witch's Remains up 100% in the fight, but obviously the game developers didn't like that, so they changed it so he can't quite keep it up 100% of the time. And then Ozil. Now, I only pulled one couple of Ozil. I did not get his exclusive. However, the Shadow Spawn egg is actually better on him than his exclusive damage rise. So there's a pro tip for you guys and girls out there. 95% crit rate, not quite crit capped, but I'm reasonably happy with that. He is scrolled. He's got 210 crit damage. He's in the Emperor's set, and he's got the special gloves that increase damage by 35% when attacking a target with defense down. As you can see, talking on sort of poor gear rolling, these substats are not ideal. They are far from it. I was hoping to get attack percent on this last one, but it didn't happen. And then when I did max it, it missed crit rate anyway. So, you know, there's that, I suppose. So, what we'll do then, we are going to run this. I have to manage it to get Ozil to where he needs to be. And then we will just auto, essentially. So we will just turn all of these off because you want Daphne inside Ozil. So there's that. There's that. We can put that on alt. Daphne is going to jump into him. And now we can just... There we go. And we will leave it like that. Fathom Down coming in with the attack down at the end there. And this is the fight. So as you can see, Taldi putting defense down again. We'll wait for the defense down to drop off just there, and then Taldi will jump in again in a moment. So it's about a second drop off, 2 seconds for the defense down. Right, so I'm going to pause this recording here, and we'll jump back in at the end of the fight and see how we do. So we're just jumping in at the end of this fight here, okay, with 1 minute to go. I just wanted to show you, you can see sort of the pulsing damage coming from round Fathom Down and Ozil, and that's the reason you can't have too many melee units or summon units, essentially, because they'll just damage each other and it just won't work well. Fathom Down's ult coming in useful here with the attack down and keeping the stacks low. That is an important factor of this. You know, normally you'd be on 15, it'd be very hard to stay alive, but the attack down plus the knockback is making it very useful. 6 seconds left. And that is the end. So we finished with 87. It's not my highest. My highest is little over 91. So we might not save this. We might go back and and rerun it. Okay, so we'll redeploy that in a second. But what I wanted to show you was just some other teams that I did test. Okay, on the test server when I was sort of just playing to see, you know, what would work. Essentially, did you need to have silly little teams? So, as you can see, 22 million we all know is the crumbs is what you want to score. Okay, so this team did just over. Okay, did just over with the 23 million. So what we did here is we had Cursor as our tank and our Witch's Remains applier. We had Enna and Zarloth between them doing some heals, with Dauk as the attack down and Tatoth as another damage dealer. Another one we had was with Stangwem as the tank, and then we had Deverick for the attack down, Witch's Remains applier, Megan just for the boost and some small heals, with Joyce and Adri as our damage there. Okay, and one other one that we tried was actually with some summon units. Okay, so we had Irma as the tank. Now Irma's great because her ultimate, she reduces incoming damage for melee units. We had Nathaniel and Gulend clearing those frosts off to reduce the damage we're taking, and the pulsing. Then we had Prempster and Gaiolier as our damage dealers. Now, this was an interesting one. So Prempster's summons don't work like other summon units. You can't duplicate them with Gaiolier, for example, and they can't get frost on them either. So that's why you can sort of get away with using her as a summon unit if you have her. And Gaiolier's passive, and that still triggers on them though, which is interesting. So even though Gaiolier skeletons were next to Irma, between Irma's ultimate giving her damage reduction and Nathaniel and Gulend clearing off those frosts, I was still able to last the entire fight and get the 22 million required. So that was pretty good, I thought. I didn't duplicate any heroes in there. I just wanted to use a bit of everything and see what would work. And I managed to get 22 million on all of them, which is great. If any of you ever want to see the gear or any of them, you can just sort of let me know in a comment or reach out to me in one of the bigger CC Discords, and I will try and assist where I can. But there you go. That is the end of this video. So I'm going to try and get over 90 million. I want to get that 18,000 for my score today to try and keep me in the top 20 for this week. But thank you for taking the time to watch. I've taken up 20 odd minutes of your time, so I do apologise there. Look after yourselves, everyone. All right, work hard, but remember to play harder, and I'll see you soon. Cheers now.